Hello and welcome to the Coal Authority podcast. The Coal Authority exists to make a better future for people and the environment in mining areas. We carry out vital work to keep people, drinking water and the environment safe from the legacy impacts of our mining heritage. These podcasts are intended to offer some insight into the work that we do and why we do it, and we hope that you will find them interesting, and we would welcome any suggestions for content for future podcasts as these series grow. Without further ado, let's get into the next episode. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Coal Authority podcast. In this episode we are going to be talking to Jeff Halliwell, who is the chair of the Coal Authority, as well as Lisa Robson, who has been one of our boardroom apprentices since January. And we're hosting this podcast just to help support the board apprentice programme and just get some insight from Lisa on why she wants to be an apprentice, why she took up the scheme, and also speak to Jeff a little bit about why the Coal Authority wanted to support this kind of initiative. So without further ado, like I say, it's a warm welcome to Jeff and Lisa. Jeff and Lisa, I hope you're well. Starting with you, Jeff, if you don't mind just giving a little bit of information about who you are and what your role is with the Coal Authority.
Yeah, as you said, Lee, I'm the chair of the Coal Authority. That means that I'm in charge of the board. The boards help set the strategy for the organisation. And I suppose one of my roles is to be in direct contact with the ministry as our sponsoring body. We're an arm's length body of the Department of Energy Security and Net Zero. So we're funded by government, and that's part of my role is to be that primary liaison point. So, we're one of a very broad family of organisations who are participating in the Board Apprentice scheme.
And Lisa, so if you don't mind just giving us a little bit in terms of your background and what got you to this point, I suppose where you're a member of this Boardroom Apprentice programme, that'd be great.
So I've been a civil servant now for a couple of years, and it was I previously always worked in the private sector. But as time's gone on, I felt that I wanted to do something where I might be able to give more back to the communities in which I lived. And I felt that moving into the public sector was one way of doing that. So for the last couple of years, I've been working in communications at the Department for Levelling Up, and most recently at the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. And felt like I wanted to join the Boardroom Apprentice scheme because it was a way that I saw of me dipping my toe in the water and getting some experience of how I could become either a member of a board or a trustee for a charity. And in the same way that in my working life, I wanted to be able to give something back, to do that in my private life as well, and to be able to either help a charity or a third sector body at some stage further down the line.
Okay, great. And my understanding is that you were accepted onto the programme in January this year. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So I applied late last year. One of the first things that you've got to do when thinking about it is consider how much time you've got available, because it is quite a significant time contribution if you want to do it well. So once I've considered that, yes, this 2023 would be a year when I could fit it in, the most important choice for me then really was thinking about which organisation to say that I wanted to be a boardroom apprentice for. You have to choose, shortlist 3 different organisations, and the Coal Authority was obviously one of my ones. And that's because I've got many personal reasons back in my family history. I'm from Sunderland, and a lot of my family were involved in mining, and that's why I then chose the Coal Authority. Filled in the application form, and it's very important that when you fill that in that you give the reason why you're so inclined to want to both be a boardroom apprentice and also why you're choosing the organisations that you are. Fortunately, I was very successful and chosen to be a boardroom apprentice and got my choice of the Coal Authority. So I was delighted when I found that out.
That's great. That's really interesting that you wanted in your history, you selected the Coal Authority. So once you were successful, what was the process from that point on then? I assume you didn't know anyone in the Coal Authority at that point. Was there an introduction process or a phasing in, as it were? Can you maybe give us a little bit of detail on how those first weeks and months have been for you?
Yeah, you're correct. So I didn't know anybody in the Coal Authority. The Coal Authority gave me the most amazing welcome. So I attended an induction day back in December last year, and Jeff was actually at that induction day and was so welcoming. I can't describe how welcoming it was, because it's quite an intimidating thing, and I think that's what puts off a lot of people from initially applying to be on a board, because you meet people like Jeff who've got such an illustrious career and have people who've been CEOs of big organisations, directors, etc. And it can be quite intimidating to be interacting with people of such high stature. But Jeff was very welcoming, and there was somebody else from the Coal Authority there, and everybody was fantastic on that first day. So it was really great to meet everybody. So that was the first step. And then from then onwards, the Coal Authority were just amazing. I can't thank the Coal Authority enough. So I had welcome sessions with all the other members of the board. I had members of the executive team of the Coal Authority too. So I had, introductory sessions with everybody before I attended the first board. And that was a great way to get to meet people. Also, in terms of technology, the Coal Authority gave me an iPad so that I can access board papers and attend the meetings. So it was just wonderful. The introduction and the information that I received were second to none, really.
Great. And Jeff, do you remember that first meeting with Lisa?
Yes, I do. No, it was a terrific meeting, actually. I think there were, how many organisations and apprentices were there, Lisa?
I think the official figures are there's about 45 of us on the scheme in the inaugural year in England, Wales and Scotland, of which I was part. So we've been the inaugural year. And there's about just under 40 organisations, I think, because like you say, some have taken 2 people. So yeah.
Right. No, it was a really good half day, and clearly and a great energy in the room. And it was a pleasure to be there. I think the point was made, if I remember rightly, that by the organisers of Board Apprentice, that that this was a really serious commitment on everybody's part, from the apprentices' point of view, because of the time. Yes, it is a competitive process, so people have been selected, and at the same time from the organisation's point of view as well. So I think that, there was a really good coming together of, just of a group of people who wanted to make this work from both sides of the table.
So at least just going back to you then, on kind of your experience, what have been the most enjoyable parts of the role?
For me, the most enjoyable parts have been just getting, attending the board meetings and seeing how people interact at a very strategic level. To be able to see those meetings taking place is just a fantastic opportunity. You get an insight into the world of an executive and a board that you just would never get the opportunity to hear otherwise. I've always been interested in company strategy, and even at university I studied marketing strategy and corporate strategy, and to see it being discussed and then put into action is a fantastic opportunity. And to then have a voice at that table, Jeff is a great chair and will always ask and ask opinions from different people, including myself, and to know that I am welcomed and supported in those discussions, and that my thoughts are as equally as valid as everyone else, has been a great opportunity for me, and has given me the confidence to go on and do other things that I maybe might not have considered, either in both my personal and professional life. So that, I think, has been the most amazing opportunity.
Great. So obviously we're in September, and what are the months ahead looking like for you then? Is there anything interesting on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fortunate with the Coal Authority. So when I looked and chose which organisation to shortlist, I chose the Coal Authority because Coal Authority has board meetings monthly. So, that's more of a time commitment. But I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to be, learning as much as possible in the year. So I've attended a lot of, monthly board meetings. I've had fantastic opportunities to date with the Coal Authority to go out on a site visit. So up in the northeast, went and visited a mine water treatment centre at Linemouth, and I've attended a public board up in Newcastle. So I've done some amazing things. I attended the staff away day to where strategy was discussed. So I've attended some fantastic things, but one of the things that I haven't yet had a chance to do is to attend some of the committees that happen when boards meet. The board will delegate authority to the committee to discuss matters, who then bring it back to the board. And because I've been so busy attending other things to date, the monthly board meetings, and also with my day-to-day job, because I still have to maintain that, I haven't yet had a chance to really attend any of the committees. And that's the thing that I'm really looking forward to in these coming months.
How have you found the site visits? Have you been able to get out, as much as you would have liked to see the Coal Authority is a 24/7 delivery organisation, and I always think that board meetings and strategy is all very well, but it's what we deliver for people in communities that really counts. Do you think there's been enough opportunity for you to get out and see the sort of the delivery result of those strategy deliberations?
That's a great question. So I've been provided with lots of opportunities to go out and do visits. Unfortunately, because my day-to-day job is quite intense, I've had to turn a few of those down. But yeah, I would love to have gone out and seen more. I think what I've seen at the board, the papers that have been presented, or just by looking on social media, all the other fantastic work that the Coal Authority does. So we are going up to Glasgow soon for a public board meeting then, and I know we're doing a visit up there too, so I'm looking forward to that. But I have seen the amazing set of maps that at the Coal Authority's head office in Mansfield. I did get a tour of that too. So that's another important part of the work that the Coal Authority does, is maintaining maps, and for when people are buying houses and need to know what's under the ground of the prospective house they're buying. So the Coal Authority provides reports on that. So I have seen those too, and that is an amazing facility.
And so I was talking about things like that. Has your perception of what the Coal Authority might have been changed during this year?
Yeah, totally. So when I grew up in Sunderland, I'm old enough to remember the miners' strike and things like that. And, people wandering around with NCB jackets on for the National Coal Board. So I remember, the National Coal Board as it was back then, and the role that, various roles that they played. And then to join the Coal Authority and see how much, how very different that is to the perception that I had previously. It's so varied, the work that the Coal Authority does now. Like Jeff said, it's a 24/7 organisation. People who could suddenly have, a crack appear in a house or a hole in the garden or the road, etc. That's one angle. There's the reports that we, the Coal Authority, I say we because I feel such a part of the organisation, that we
you
do,
are, Lisa.
Like I said, for conveyancing, there's the mine water treatment plants. There is so much that the Coal Authority does that it's been eye-opening, and the amount of people that I've told along the way and changed their perception of what the Coal Authority does. I have been spreading the word a lot, that's for sure.
Jeff, just going back to yourself, if that's right, I just wanted to really get an input on, so what's in it for the Coal Authority when things like the Board Apprentice programme are recognised by yourself or others on the board? What made us sign up for this? What made the Coal Authority become part of this programme? What were the benefits for the organisation?
Well, look, I think there's a couple of things, really. The Coal Authority is there to do good things in the world, and I think we do good things in the world. And one of those is a very broad benefit that we try to deliver of encouraging people, and I suppose I reflect back on my own non-executive career, which I've been doing for the last decade. It's not easy to get started, and I rather wish that something like Board Apprentice had been around 10 years ago and I embarked on a non-exec career, because what you're doing is you're giving people an opportunity to see what it's like. Don't be daunted. It's fun. It's interesting. You get a chance to make a really good contribution to people's lives in many, many different organizations through serving on the board. And so for us to be able to give Lisa this year, somebody else next year, somebody else the year after that, hopefully, the chance to experience that and get that experience, I think is a good thing in itself. So that's kind of like the broad society bit. But, more narrowly for the Coal Authority, we've really benefited from having Lisa on the board. And we've tried very much to think of her as a fully fledged board member. There's no difference in what we've shared with Lisa. So that's an important part of this for us, is the benefit of having Lisa contributing, as she does, very strongly and very pertinently to the strategy discussions that we're having at board meetings.
So Lisa, the Boardroom Apprentice programme, what are the main aims of that programme?
The main aims of the scheme are really to increase diversity on boards. So there's a bit of a perception that it's, most boards are quite stereotypical of an older, predominantly male individual who might have been a CEO or a director of a company previously. And what the programme aims to do is to bring a whole range of different voices to boards. So whether that be younger voices or just underrepresented voices. I'm from the northeast of England, so might have different opinions to people who've never lived in a mining area. So I think that's the whole purpose of this programme really, and also to improve the knowledge of people joining boards or becoming trustees, because as Jeff's alluded to earlier in the conversation, he wished that he'd had the opportunity to learn all this information on his journey. And a lot of people embark on, to become a non-executive director or a trustee without understanding what the legal responsibilities of that are, or having the softer skills in terms of being able to negotiate amongst each other or be members of a team or to lead a team, etc. So in the Boardroom Apprentice scheme, we learn both of those. We have 8 training days set throughout the year in which we learn a mixture of the harder skills of the legal requirements of working with public funds, etc., and also the softer skills of how to present your case in an authoritative way, but also get buy-in from other people too. So it's a great scheme that increases diversity on boards, but also increases the skills of those who are hoping to get onto boards.
So Lisa, you mentioned obviously from the northeast of England and Sunderland, and where there's obviously a lot of mining heritage, a lot of mining history. How did that background kind of influence your desire to be a boardroom apprentice with the Coal Authority? Was there anything specific, any stories that really hark back to that area that really stick in the mind and really made you want to be kind of involved with the Coal Authority and help move it forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I put these down in my application, and they said when they read my application, they had tears in their eyes, and I really moved them. So I think that's what I'd like to get across, that if you've got a real passion for something, then you will find it so much easier to be a boardroom apprentice in that area, because you're going to have that passion. And for me, part of it was I'd grown up, I'd learnt in Sunderland, it was a strong mining area, the whole of the northeast is, and I learned to swim at a place called Dordon Pit Pond in Seaham, and that was where water was heated by the mine machinery previously. So I learned to swim as a result of the mines. I learned to ski on a former slag heap at Silksworth Ski Slope in Sunderland. So that was, something amazing for me too. And before I was even born, my dad and my granddad were both involved in mining. My dad was a miner, and unfortunately at one point the mine collapsed on top of him and he was rushed to hospital. At hospital he was pronounced dead. Like they told him, he heard them say, this chap is dead, unfortunately. And he was lying there thinking, is this what it's like to be dead? Like, this is unusual, like I'm getting an insight here. Oh dear, like never mind. But this is strange. And then suddenly, I don't know how it happened, but they were like, he's not dead. So fortunately, that's how I came to be here, because he wasn't dead. But it left obviously a massive impact on him and my family. My dad's gone on to live a very happy and successful life, but that was a story that always stuck with me about mining. And my granddad too, he used to drive a train down at Seaham docks that took the coal back and forwards from the coal trains. And yeah, he's actually featured in the signs for Seaham where it says welcome to Seaham, and there's a picture of him and some other people who worked on the train delivering the coal. So yeah, so there's a lot of family history there that I wanted, to become part of, really, and to do my bit, to protect the legacy, which is a lot of what the Coal Authority does.
Jeff, so that epitomises kind of why the Coal Authority gets involved in these kind of programmes, as you alluded to earlier. Lisa's story is a great example of the kind of people that we want to attract.
Yeah, it's a lovely story, and it's great to have that additional personal connection. It doesn't, of course, you don't have to be the daughter of an ex-miner to apply to be a boardroom apprentice of the Coal Authority, and you certainly don't have to be the son of an ex-miner to be the chair. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But I think Lisa's absolutely right. Having an interest in the work that the organisation does is very helpful. Whichever organisation it is that you choose, whether it's a charity, whether it's I'm delighted to see that some NHS trusts and NHS bodies are starting to get involved in the work of Boardroom Apprentice, I think, next year. So, and these are, of course, everybody has an interest in the NHS. So, I think, to have something that excites you about that organisation rather than just picked at random, I think is just going to make it more interesting for you. And therefore, as well, the organisation, and I think this is the point that to me stands out, is the organisation will benefit from the apprentices' involvement. This is not a one-way street by any manner of means. It's a real mutual benefit. And certainly from a Coal Authority point of view, it's been a real privilege and pleasure to have Lisa involved, and we will miss her.
So we hope you found that podcast interesting and insightful. As we're showing it on our social media channels, if you have any questions or further comments or any suggestions for future podcasts, we'd be really pleased to hear from you. So don't be afraid to get in touch. And we look forward to spending some time with you next time. Thank you.